Hello there, and welcome to ZeroXP, a podcast celebrating fandom, one game or one game series at a time, starting with the series that is the most beloved and close to our hearts, Fable. I'm John, and I'm sitting here with my co-host, who's so tasty that Balverines would rather eat him than bite him, Patrick.
Hello.
We strive to bring you a show bi-monthly with some bonus episodes in between. You can find us by searching for ZeroXP Podcast on YouTube, or by searching for ZeroXP on most major podcast platforms. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be running down some story elements, fan letter, and a little reflection on the Fable trailer that dropped this past week. Today's episode is brought to you by Not Hold Glade Chief's tattooed cool dude rubber galoshes, but we'll have more on that later. We'll also be discussing our fan poll where we let you rank some Fable heroes, and that should be a pretty fun discussion. But for now, let's get to it. Alright, so, we can't do this episode without talking about last Thursday, which was July the 23rd, in which we got our quick reaction to a new Fable.
Yep.
So we only got a CG trailer, and I think most people were genuinely happy with it. Patrick, do you want to revisit your thoughts or anything?
Yeah, it was really nice at least. It was a very poorly kept secret, but it was really nice at least getting confirmation, because since they kept it at the end of the show, I was beginning to sweat a bit. I will say that.
Yeah, I was too, actually. I had thought that they weren't going to announce it. Like, if they were going to announce it, I was holding on to hope that it was going to be the "and one more thing," which it was, but I expected it earlier in the show than it
I was thinking middle.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking, that there would be something else towards the end. But, we got it. I'm happy with it. The look of it, it's too early to really tell what the game's going to be. Yeah, but I'm optimistic overall.
Yeah. The thing to keep in mind with those CG trailers is they're normally not made by the studio themselves. So there might be a few things that are off, but it was nice getting an idea of the color palette, the fact that they made a joke.
Yeah, the humor was there. Yep, that was a big deal.
Because, you never know. It's a new studio. They might view it as something that they can make more serious and gritty, and that was a concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, so I was glad to see that. And then also we got, what we perceived to be Bowerstone and Castle Fairfax.
That was the biggest shocker in the trailer.
Yeah, the architecture's a little different, so we're not exactly sure if it's a direct sequel, prequel, or as Patrick said on our preview cast,
#InBetweequel, or just Betweequel.
Was it Betweequel or InBetweequel?
Betweequel.
Okay.
Betweenquel.
Yes, okay. Sorry. Anyways,
it's early here.
Yeah, but, we're optimistic, and, wherever they want to go with it, I'm happy to, enjoy the ride leading up to it. Hopefully it turns out to be what we want, but it was a good start.
Yeah.
A little bittersweet because it's not a Lionhead game, but, it's Fable, so we've got to be, at least on board.
Yeah, I'm going to be positive until they give me a reason not to be positive.
Exactly.
I'm disappointed Lionhead isn't getting to make another game and they're not here anymore, but you can't hold that against Playground.
Nope. So time will tell, and we'll be doing some, speculation episodes. I think we have a plan to do a what if episode, as if what we think could have happened or what would have been a good idea to do with it.
Maybe in a week or two.
Yeah, and we'd kind of like to get some community feedback on that, like their ideas, and kind of from you where you would take the series if you were given the keys to the city. So recently we received an email from Charlie Gibbons, who is definitely now a friend of the show, and he said, "I just wanted to get in touch and say well done with the podcast. Listened to the first 2 episodes last night after seeing the latest poll in one of the Fable Facebook groups. I'm a longtime fan, going back to the original, even pre the Lost Chapters, back to the original series. And I've played the main series top to tail in the past, so I was overjoyed to see the topic for your first run of episodes. It's great to see 2 other friends so dedicated to exploring the games, and I'm really enjoying your approach too. It comes at a great time for me as I recently repurchased an Xbox to replay the Fable games. Just about finished with Anniversary and due to move on to Fable 2. So hearing you guys share your opinions and insights feels like trekking across Albion with great company. As such, I'm really looking forward to your future episodes. And then he gets into the heart of his email to us, and I thought he made some really great points in that he discussed that we had originally, when we covered Big Blue Box, how we kind of briefed over the history of that team. He provides more details, and the reason that we wanted to bring this up is because he made a really good point. It's one of the things that, and we have responded to Charlie since then, that we kind of discussed going into the show how much of the lore we should include, how much of the gameplay we should include, and how much of the behind-the-scenes and dev information we could include. And part of our goal with the first few episodes here are just to mainly get into the gameplay, because we want to make it as accessible as possible. But we do have future plans to do episodes that are dedicated more to what was behind the scenes and some of the developer information, and possibly some even lore-heavy episodes, so it will become more diverse as we go on. We're still trying to find our footing. But I really wanted to point out this email more than anything, just to say this is exactly the kind of feedback that we want and we enjoy. Charlie was great. I mean, he gave us more information. We will share that, at a later date, and it's something that makes us feel like we're at least on the right path.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead. It's one of those things where feel free to email us or respond to anything. I mean, what you like, what you don't like, because we're trying to figure out the show, and the more you let us know if a few people say that they don't like a certain thing, I mean, we'll consider that.
Yeah, or if you want more of that stuff in the show as we go, I mean, we can incorporate it instead of saving it for later.
Because, I mean, there are certain things we're not sure how far in depth, because we don't want to make it boring for you. But
yeah, because we get nerdy about it. I mean, we have conversations about that all the time when we're not recording.
Yes. So, I mean, let us know how much depth you want, or really just let us know anything.
Yeah, and again, thanks, Charlie. We really appreciate your feedback. So when we last left the game, we had just defeated Twin Blade, and the blind Cirrus made her appearance. The blind Cirrus, as it turns out to be, surprise, your sister Teresa.
Didn't see that coming.
Well, she probably did, since she can, see the future and whatnot.
Yes.
So essentially, she tells us that she knew we were coming, and she's seen some visions for us coming in the future. One where we're standing in sand surrounded by blood and craziness, and then another where a decision will have to be made where we'll ultimately choose between the light and the dark side of our personality. And then finally, she leaves us with a statement that is pretty cryptic when she says, "He finds you when you're sleeping and when the daylight fades." I don't think she's talking about Santa Claus.
No.
But also...
He does exist in the universe, though.
Does he?
Yeah, there's like a Yule hat in either the second or the third game.
That's true. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's him.
No.
But yeah. Okay, anyways, we digress. I don't know. I really liked this. She gives you a power boost before she moves on. She lets Twin Blade know.
She lets you know, she unleashes the power of your ancestors for all the birthdays she missed.
That's right. That's probably worth noting.
Otherwise,
she's still hung up on that birthday gift you either did or did not get to her.
Yeah.
But
it's in the form of 10,000 XP, by the way.
Sure, why not? Hey, we're at 0. We need all the help we can get. But then at that point, she lets Twin Blade know that she's moving on, and you can either decide to kill him or let him live, but he's definitely defeated. I found this actually really sad for Twin Blade, because he says he's no one's king anymore. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I like Twin Blade so much, but I wish I could be like, nah, buddy, you still got this, and punch him in the shoulder or something.
Hit him, his men still fight for him, though.
Yeah, that's true, too. It's too bad he never made a comeback after that, though. He really was a cool character. So Patrick specifically asked to have this quest mentioned in the Traitor Massacre that we can get after this, where you're charged with essentially sacking Barrow Fields. Yeah. How do you feel about that, and why did you feel like it needed to be included?
Well, I mean, it's one of those missions that I see people talking about, and I think everybody does it their first time because they're confused. Like, it's just the only mission available. It's not a two-sided one.
I am guilty of that.
Yeah, and then, I swear I click that mission at some point every time. And I have two options at that point. I can either leave it on there or kill all those traders, and I don't want to kill them.
Traders as in like tradesmen, not
Yes.
traitors, as
Yes.
in people who
Traders,
have betrayed you.
Traders. But I just can't leave it on the list.
I get it. It's that completionist mentality.
Yeah.
However, I do normally allow myself to leave that quest at the guild. I've been pretty lucky there, but yeah, definitely the first time, and probably some other time playing through it, I have accidentally picked it up.
Well, you're lucky because I accidentally clicked that every time pretty much.
You know what? Maybe it's some kind of like deep-rooted look into your psyche.
Maybe.
A little scary. A little further after that, we are asked to come back to the guild to talk to Maze, and Maze has a special request for us. He's asking us to do a favor for him, which is a little weird. I mean, but I guess we do kind of owe him for saving our life and whatnot back in the day.
Yeah.
He sends us to look for someone who he says is his friend, who turns out to be an archaeologist. And the archaeologist is staying in Witchwood, which is a brand new area that we haven't been to before. What do you think about Witchwood?
It's a good little island. It's actually got a lot of really cool spots, very popular in the series, but I'm not going to get too much into those because we are going to talk about those spots throughout the store or throughout our podcast.
Okay, yeah.
We'll get to them at a later date.
I just like the area in general because it's foresty feeling, it's rainy, it's murky, it's definitely a different mood than a lot of the game is. It's always raining, which, you know, in real life I would probably hate, but I like it as a setting.
Full of Balverines.
And yeah, the Balverines are just ridiculous. But I like the stonework throughout it. I feel like it's definitely a relic of the Old Kingdom, in the way that there's old torn down statues, there's falling down pillars and things like that.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the game. So we go to Witchwood, and we're first, you know, other than knocking out maybe a few bandits or kind of traversing our way through the territory, we come upon a demon door. And that demon door tells us he will not open unless we know his name. So, naturally, your first instinct, without knowing that that's actually where you're trying to get to, is you got to get in that demon door, right?
Yeah.
There's 4 stones down at the bottom of the hill. And, you know, you have to figure out his name based off the 4 letters that appear when you, or are said when you hit each stone. So, naturally, you pick his name to be S-H-I...
John.
What?
It's Hits.
Hits.
His name is Hits.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
It's H-I-T-S.
There you go.
Hits, yeah. Which I think we all know because we're all immature. Believe me, we're all immature. Tell me there's anybody, if you played this game...
We're Fable fans, John.
If you played this game and you did not spell the curse word, I want to know. I want you to DM me on Twitter and tell me who you are because, man, you have a special level of maturity I will never hit.
And I don't know why you're a Fable fan at this point.
But you know, you get punished for that because it'll drop Balverines on you to fight. But you spell Hits, you go back up to the top of the hill. The demon door's like, can't believe you figured out my 4-letter name. And you go in there and you find the archaeologist. How do you feel about the archaeologist, Patrick?
He's kind of a jerk. I thought he'd be grateful. I thought I was going to save him. And he's like, look what you did. I was hiding so well. And I'm like, I was trying to save you.
Yeah, we thought we were here to do some good, man.
It's kind of a double disappointment, though, because of the way the inside of that demon door looked, because I had come from Fable 2, and it was the first one I opened.
Oh, that was the first one you
opened? Yeah,
opened?
that was the first one I opened, and I was just like, oh, you know, this is disappointing. And there's this jerk here, too.
Yeah. I think the first one I ever opened was the one where you're escorting the traders to Barrowfields, and it's you have to fight the enemies that it drops on you. You go inside, and there's like a dark will user's robes. Yeah. And if nothing else, they were flipping cool. So me not realizing that the armor and the clothing had character alignment value, I was playing through fairly good my first time. Yeah. And I put that on and had people running from me left and right. And I'm like, but I look so cool.
Yeah, that's the bad thing is some of that evil stuff does look really cool.
If you get your alignment high enough, I don't even worry about it. So yeah, he's not really grateful for you finding him. But there is some good loot in there. I know you said you were disappointed, but there's some pretty good loot in there. And there's a treasure chest. You got to have 15 keys. But we don't really get any explanation why he was hiding, so there'll be more on that later, but it was definitely intriguing the first time around. After speaking with the archaeologist, we are tasked with going to help out Knothole Glade, which on our way to Knothole Glade, we also pass the Temple of Avo and the arena, and we're saving those two things for a different show. But before we get into Knothole Glade, we're going to take a quick break to talk about this week's sponsor.
I need to take a trip to Witchwood, and I'm just not feeling it.
Well, why is that, Patrick?
Every time I'm out that way, I'm bothered by Balverines, but as soon as I pull my sword, bam, lightning!
Where have you been? Haven't you heard of Knothole Glade Chief's tattooed cool dude rubber galoshes?
Knothole Glade Chief's tattooed cool dude rubber galoshes? What do I want with those?
Well, the rubber in Knothole Glade's tattooed cool dude rubber galoshes keep the electricity from transferring from your body to the ground, protecting you from the shock. It's science.
Science? Sounds like some sort of magic to me. I'll be sure to pick up a pair of Knothole Glade Chief's tattooed cool dude rubber galoshes before I make any trip to Witchwood.
Note, Knothole Glade Chief's tattooed cool dude rubber galoshes do not protect your feet from lightning or the rain. The metal tip deluxe versions will actually increase risk of shock and athlete's foot. All right, so we're back. And folks, these commercials are just going to get more and more dumb as we go. So if somebody actually wants to sponsor us, we'd probably still write dumb commercials to go with whatever product. Yeah. But, so one of the things that I really liked about our journey to Knothole Glade is we have a random event, which I wish the game had done more of these because they're always great when they happen. But as we're heading that way, we run into a couple guards who are bored. And depending on what way you're playing your game, you get one of two outcomes. In my game, I get a guy that runs up and he tells me, hey, my wife's being trapped by Balverines. I need help. In which case you run down by your hit stones and you get jumped by a bunch of bandits. And the guy explains he was being blackmailed and they made him do it. He gives you a reward after you take out all the bandits. Patrick, what did you have happen?
Well, when I went up, it was actually a bunch of bandits that you talk to, and then he runs up and there's supposed to be a traitor that you get to beat up on, or someone wants you to help beat him up, and you go down there to get the gold, and you get jumped by a bunch of guards.
So, in my version, there's two guards that are talking about being bored.
Yeah.
And you can get them to follow you down there and actually help you out.
Yeah.
What are they bandits
Yes.
that are there? Okay, so the bandits are bored.
Yes.
And you can take them with you.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I should know that. I played the game, literally 20 times. Literally. But, it's been a while since I played it through on an evil run.
It's such a small blip, but I thought it was just important to note because it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. We also, we have a giant troll battle. I really love this area. Just the little lakes that are there. Or ponds, whatever you want to call them. Just everything throughout it. But eventually we come upon
a lot of traders walking around too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and they've got good gear.
Yes.
Yeah. But eventually we get to Knothole Glade. And Patrick, do you want to give us a rundown, kind of the history behind Knothole Glade?
Yeah, so in the ancient times, the warriors of Knothole Glade were great Balverine hunters and had to undergo gruesome initiation ceremonies requiring them to kill a Balverine with their bare hands. They would then be able to wear a tattoo in the image of a howling Balverine to prove their strength. Even by the time of Fable, Balverine hunters from Knothole Glade were some of the greatest in Albion, such as Scarlet Robe. So you can tell through meeting them and their history that they never had an easy time with life at all. And we get to learn a little bit more about them in the future. This isn't all we hear from them.
Yeah, the area in general, like Knothole Glade is probably, and I feel like I say this about all the areas, but it really is. Knothole Glade it's just so different from the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think it's one of the only areas where you can have weapons out at all times, like it's encouraged.
Yeah, like you're actually going to be attacked at any moment.
I thought that was a really nice touch that they didn't go with every other town where you get in trouble by guards. Guards are like, oh, you got your weapons ready. Good, because we don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, and it's essentially like a ring fort, if you would call, or however you want to put that, where it's completely made out of wood. They've got a giant fence protecting them because they are under attack at all times. The houses are made out of cabins. It seems to be a fairly warm area because people are dressed casually,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just love it. I think it's a really cool place. And there's that statue in the main entryway of the gate that, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's kind of a cool thing with a cool backstory.
Oh, absolutely.
So we keep talking about these Balverines, however you want to pronounce it. For people who may be new to the series, which, I don't think there's many listening to the show, but just in case we wanted to run down exactly what they are. They're very werewolf-like, and I think that's apparent from the get-go. But according to the Oracle of the Spire, the Balverine descended from a terrible creature called the Balvorn, which was a far more vile and vicious creature than a Balverine. It feasted upon thousands of humans at a time. There was only one man who survived its attacks, and that man became the first Balverine. Citizens of Albion are afraid of these beasts, and with good reason. Balverines can infect others, turning them into Balverines through a bite. Perhaps because of their terrifying qualities, some have been captured and put into venues like the arena for gladiatorial purposes. Their natural aggressive tendencies make them perfect opponents for heroes on the battlefield. It's said that when a man gets bitten by a Balverine during a full moon, they become much more powerful. They become the White Balverine, which were slain in the Old Kingdom through use of silver weapons. Also, kind of werewolf-like. So I could be wrong going out on a limb here, Patrick, but I kind of think that they tend to be the most liked enemies in the game.
Yeah, if it's not them, it's definitely Hobbs.
Yeah.
It feels like it's one or the other.
Well, I think it's, the Hobbs are liked because of their goofiness and stupidity.
Yeah.
And then the Balverines are liked because they're very menacing. They are one of the tougher enemies in the game.
They're terrifying the first time you encounter them.
Yeah, and the character models kind of changed over the years. We don't like to get into the sequels quite yet because we're not there, but in the Lost Chapters, they have kind of a longer snout.
Yeah.
But it's almost kind of like monstrously lizard-like.
Yeah.
And then as the games go further, they become almost pug-nosed.
Yeah, they become more human as they go.
Yeah, I personally prefer the more animalistic style. It made sense for story purposes going forward, but I think the character models in the first game are definitely my favorite.
I actually like the more human style.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
and
okay to be wrong.
Also,
Just
even
kidding.
in Fable Legends, those were probably the most animalistic style.
Yep, and I did like those too. Yeah. Yep. So that kind of ties into the last quest we're going to talk about this week for the show. And we're sent essentially to Knothole Glade to help protect them from this ongoing threat of Balverines that have been attacking the town. Once we get into the town, we find out that there is a white Balverine who has been just a menace as of late, and they can't kill it, they can't figure out what to do about it, and they're not sure why it seems to particularly be attacking the town over and over.
So pretty much you just go around, you attack the Balverine, try to fight it off, it jumps to different areas, and you really don't have any luck wearing it down or defeating it.
It's also bigger than all the other Balverines.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot bigger. I want to say it's got more blood on its chest. And after really no luck, you go up the hill and you meet with the wife of the most popular Balverine fighter that they had, who had passed, I guess, several years earlier.
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was years, but it was definitely before, you're around in the game.
So once you're at the top of the hill, you meet his wife. She comes out and says he's gone too far this time, which confuses the Knothole Glade chief. She goes into detail she knows that was her husband. This is pretty well the first knowledge we get that Balverines were people.
Yes, yeah. Up until that point, we had the traitor that turned into one.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
Second reference.
Okay. Well, and she gives you a silver augment.
Which I think this was the first time you were encouraged to use an augment.
That's
in
the
the
first
game.
time I remember using an augment in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're given a silver augment because she says that it helps you defeat the white Balverine. And you can choose to attach it or not, but it goes a lot quicker if you choose to attach it.
Definitely. After tragically having to take down this white Balverine and kill the lady's former husband, you become the talk of the town. You're celebrated among the community, and you're basically invited to something that's considered a privilege, but it's kind of a scary privilege, in that they want you to compete in the Witchwood arena. Now, we've mentioned the arena before when we were talking about Thunder, and we talked about it a little bit ago when we talked about passing it, but we haven't really got into the actual arena and what it means to Albion. But we're going to save that for our next gameplay show. We're trying to keep things tight today because we've been throwing so much content at you lately, but look forward to it because it is one of the cooler parts of the game.
So for this week's poll, we asked you to rank all 12 heroes from your least favorite to favorite. We were surprised we got 62 responses, which we very much appreciate. Before we get too much into it, I'm just going to add a note that we'll talk about them some, but we're not going to go too in-depth because every one of these characters have either been profiled in previous ones or are going to be profiled in later episodes, so we don't want to go too deep or give too much away for possible new listeners. So at number 12, with no surprise, we have Thunder, which I also had at 12. A little bit reluctantly, but it actually shows the strength of the list. Where did you have him at?
I had him at 11.
Yeah, so there's not much disagreement there. So, and at 11, we had a character I really like, and I know John really likes, Whisper.
Oh, I don't like that. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah. I had her at 8.
I had her at 8. I had her at 8.
Okay, we both had her at 8. And I like her quite a bit, even though she's on the lower half. Once again, it shows the strength of the poll. At number 10, we have Weaver.
I disagree. I had Weaver at 6.
Yeah, I had him at 9, so I guess I'm not that far off.
As well, okay, so also just a point, we did do a rundown of many Fable characters in our tier maker. You can check that out on our YouTube. We did release it as a podcast as well, but the YouTube really gives credit where you can make your own. I explained there that I think Weaver needs to be ranked higher because he narrated the game.
And I understand that argument, but I actually left that out of this, which is part of the reason why he's ranked that low.
I get that.
Number 9, we got Twinblade.
I had Twinblade at 9 as well.
I had him at 10, so just a little bit lower. I explained before on the tier maker that I like the character, but I came in at Fable 2 and there was a lot of hype, so he ranked a little bit lower on my list, I guess, than the communities. And this one kind of surprised me, even though I guess it's not that far off of what I had. At number 8, we have Briar Rose.
I had her at 7, so that tracks for me.
I had her at 6.
I do like Briar Rose, but yeah. Just due to ranking, that's kind of how she fell for me.
This is actually a pretty good list, though.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Okay, we have 62 responses. You can rank them in whatever order, and somehow we still ended up with a tie, which left me shocked. I'll go with what I thought should have been lower is Scarlet Robe. I was surprised beat Briar Rose at 6/7.
I had her at 12.
I had her at 11, so we're definitely off with the community on that one. And then at 6, we had Maze. Where did you have Maze?
I had Maze at number 4.
Yeah, I had him at number 1. I kind of get why he was lower on the list for most people, because we're not going to get too much into it, but he's a complicated character, so I get why he might not appeal to everybody. Longtime fan and incredible fan artist, Laws said that he would fight anybody that didn't put Maze in the top 5, so
I got close.
Yeah,
I had Maze at 4. Don't hate me.
Luckily for everybody out there, I don't have your addresses because Laws was going to fight a lot of you. And then at number 5, we have Nostro.
That surprises me a bit, but I guess if you're paying attention to the history of everything, Nostro, I mean, he was a good hero, but I had him at 10.
I had Nostro at 7. I think it's important to note that a lot of the story is not necessarily displayed in the game.
Yeah.
But, even me having him at 5, I feel like that's low, but that's just what I got.
Yep, yeah.
At number 4, we have Scythe.
So, I had Scythe at number 2.
Yep, I had Scythe at 5, so I guess I'm closer to the community just a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like you said, and it's the same problem, is I think for people who have been fans and have read all the lore and all of the backstory, it's hard to separate that from this list.
Well, I ranked him lower, so are you saying I didn't read all the lore and the backstory?
I'm not saying you didn't, I just said that that's what I brought into my thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard, though, when you think about what's next on the list. I hated putting him at 5, but he's at 5.
No, I get it. That's fine.
At number 3, we got Teresa.
See, at number... Ooh, yeah, okay. Not who I had at number 3. So, Teresa, for me, Teresa is number 1.
Yeah.
And that's just me bringing the backstory and everything.
And I had Teresa at 2, because I already said I had Maze at 1.
Yeah.
But, yeah. A little low, I guess, but not too far off. And then at number 2, we have Jack of Blades.
I have Jack at number 3.
Yep. I got Jack at 4, which I'm sure people will think I'm an idiot. And then at number 1, unsurprisingly, we got Chicken Chaser.
Yeah, see, he's number 2 for me.
Number 3 for me. So.
And I'm surprised he doesn't rank a little bit lower, because it's what you infuse into the personality that makes the character in a lot of cases.
Then again, people put themselves in that character, so that might make him high on a lot of people's list.
Which is why he was number 2 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with that, he averaged out at number 3, just to give you an idea of how the poll works.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I get that. I think we were pretty close on some, a little further off on others.
That's actually where I had him.
Yeah.
We'd like to give a thanks to those who helped us contribute to the show. ZeroXP logo was designed by Jameson Johns. You can find him at behance.net/Jameson Johns. Music provided by Odd Reference. Find him at facebook.com/odd.reference. We'd also like to give thanks to the Fable Wiki, who provided a lot of the information we gave on this show. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, or review on your podcast service of choice. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, or constructive criticism, you can contact us at ZeroXP Podcast on Twitter, or feel free to email us at zeroxppodcast@gmail.com. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment. We respond to every one of them.
And before we go, we'd like to say a quick thanks to the people who have helped inspire us to do this show. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Ted. And thank you for listening and joining us on this journey. So until next time, stay safe out there. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
We're getting a new Fable.
Bye-bye. Woo!